Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crossing the Finish Line. I'm your host, Cody Kaler. For our first-time listeners, we're a podcast that is dedicated to the supply chain and logistics industry. We like to bring on, people who actually live this and eat, sleep, and breathe this every day. Today, we're going to talk about some TMSs. It's not always the sexiest subject to talk about, but it is something that we obviously use day to day to run our operations. And we've got a great partner in Turvo TMS, who we've been working with for the last year. So I can attest to a lot of the things that Anthony's going to cover with us today. But I kind of figured, end of year, there's going to be a lot of people looking potentially for some TMS changes in the first quarter of next year. Wanted to bring Anthony on and kind of go over some of the really cool automations that they've come out with this year, what he's going to roll out next year. If anybody's got any questions, obviously make sure and hit us up in the chat. Myself and Anthony will be happy to answer anything for you guys. With that, let's go ahead and bring on Anthony. He is the Director of Customer Success for Turvo TMS. Anthony, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Cody.
Yeah.
Who said TMS isn't sexy?
A lot of people, man. I mean, when you roll out new TMSs, that's like one of the worst things in the world. I love, you guys do a great job, but like rolling out new TMSs is such a pain in the ass. It's no fun.
It is. It's a big undertaking, but it's like anything else, right? You got to have a commitment to it. You got to have the right folks that own it, and it is challenging, but we believe it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I came from the shipper side, and our TMS was obviously completely different than being on the brokerage side. And, as a broker, you'd be completely lost without a great TMS partner. I mean, I don't know how people actually function. I know there's still some out there that function with Excel and everything else, but, screw that. That's I don't understand that, especially with all the automation you guys have come out with and how much easier you guys have made our jobs over the last 5 years. Like, it's crazy to me how people don't invest more on the TMS side and would rather invest in labor and everything else. So, but anywho, so why don't you get a little introduction of yourself and then Turvo for the listeners who don't, are not familiar with your platform. Can't talk today.
Sure. So you said it. My name's Anthony Ceritelli, but I'm the Director of Customer Success over at Turvo. So everything that kind of happens after the sale runs through my fantastic teams. I've been with Turvo for about 4 years, a little over 4 years. And prior to joining Turvo, I spent about 10 years in the brokerage world. So, like many of us, we all kind of have our startup story. You get in on the ground floor as a carrier sales rep, you're doing 5-6 mil in top line, and you grow to 100 mil. I wore all the different hats, ran operations, ran multimodal, ran account management, and wanted to get into software. So here I am. And Turvo is the world's premier collaborative TMS. And we'll talk a little bit more about collaboration at some point here. But I emphasize the word platform because while TMS is a function of our software, we really do position ourselves as an open API modular platform where our customers can plan, execute, and settle their transportation, but also collaborate directly with their trading partners, shippers, carriers, vendors.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, you are our third TMS in the 6 years I've been with ANZ, and it was definitely eye-opening to see how robust you guys were. I mean, it's like just your tracking alone. Like we love your tracking. That's, and that's such a small portion of what you guys do, obviously, but from our point of view, like the not having to pay extra for tracking software that's like literally real time that we can share with our customers. It's helped us a lot, saved me, on my P&L. So it's been fantastic. You guys, and your integration honestly is the smoothest out of the three that I've been with. I mean, it's very, very quick. The turnaround's very, very quick. Every time we onboard a new enterprise level customer, we're up and running with their TMS and getting our auto tenders over to us within weeks. So it's like, it's really cool. And I'm not paid by Anthony. Like I said, we are partners. You'll hear me, give you guys props a lot through this entire podcast because you guys are doing a lot of cool shit out there. You guys are doing a lot of good stuff for brokers that are helping, mid-sized companies like myself scale without having to add bodies, which is the name of the game, right? Especially with where we're at in the market, Market's tight for everybody out there. Margins are obviously lower than they were the previous 2 years. So the only way to combat that, you got to do more volume and you got to do it with the same headcount. And Turvo's definitely allowed us this year to do that. Our headcount has not grown much except for our sales side, and our load volume's up over 40% in January. So you guys have definitely been a huge part in helping us get to that and not having to waste all those labor dollars on check calls and tracking and all that fun shit that everybody has to deal with.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. You kind of touched on a number of things there, but one of where you started was that driver app. And, we still talk about visibility a lot in our industry, and it almost feels like anymore that's table stakes. And, you mentioned that Turvo has the native driver app, and that is a big point of ROI for us. You could track, we have customers that track 99% of their truckload shipments with our app. They don't have to go pay for another tracking source. That's great. And visibility is an important piece to this, but it feels like it's become table stakes.
Yep, I agree.
I think about industry trends, and this is going to sound like the most obvious statement ever, but I really think it really is more about automation. And how do you empower your human capital to do more, and not just more with the same headcount, but it's how do you empower your team to do more meaningful activity?
Yep.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing at A&Z that is more meaningful and it is driving growth in your business that Turvo and your other tech has allowed you to do more of?
So the big thing this year, like we kind of recognized a lot of what was happening the end of last year, right? It's a very predictable market for the most part. You just don't know how long the tail is going to be on a lot of stuff. So, we strategically understood come January, we were going to have to be a lot more aggressive on our rates. We were going to have to, if we were going to target new customers, as well as existing customers with new business. And what Turvo allowed us to do, and, really probably my favorite collaboration between you guys is with Parade. I had Jesse on here a couple weeks ago from Parade, but, we're running a couple thousand loads a month through our TMS with just 5 carrier reps. And we were definitely not able to do that before. And a lot of that is because your guys' integration with Parade, when we're getting quotes and we're getting all this feedback from all these carriers who are seeing our private load board with those guys, it flows directly into Turvo. So they can work like from the TMS and they don't have to go bounce between 4 or 5 different, like, do I need to go post a load on DAT? Do I need to go post a load on truck stop? Do I got to do this? Right. It's all handled right then and there. And I love your guys' dashboards too. Your dashboards allow me from a high level to be able to see everything anytime I want without having to pull a report, without, if my CEO hits me up and says, hey, I got to see last week's sales for certain customer broke down by load, right? I can do that shit like that with you guys. But really, you guys really have enabled us to do more with less. And I'm probably going to mention that again later on in this, but what we have seen is we are able to handle more loads per head count than we were the previous couple of years. And because margins are obviously shrinking, where we're at in the sales cycle, you got to be able to do that. If you can't do that, you're not going to survive.
Yeah. Being able to run lean is probably critical no matter what industry you're in, but obviously the way that the market has been in our space for the last 3.5, 4 years has made that an imperative. It's great to hear that you guys are seeing the tangible results, and that translates directly to the bottom line, right? Like there's 100%. margin compression out there. It is what it is. The freight market's going to be the freight market, but if you can hold the line with the group you got and continue to find wallet share or market share, you're going to be in a great position when the market does turn.
That's key. Is right now it's just focusing on that market share. The more you can build up right now, the better off you're going to be in a year or two. Shout out to my buddy Sonny Sharma. Said good afternoon, all. Thanks for another great episode. Sonny's a great broker over there in I think he's Fresno area. So good to hear from him. But yeah, so what's some of the stuff that you're going to be able to explain this a lot more than I am, because I'm not like a power user, right? I use Turvo to make sure my numbers look good every day, and that's the extent of what I'm doing. Obviously, my team uses it for everything, but why don't you talk about a couple of the innovations you guys have rolled out this year, and then maybe some things that you can share for next year that maybe we haven't heard about, if you can talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things in Turvo that I look at in terms of this conversation around automation, right? Then the driver app is one of those. I mean, that's square one. You get Turvo out of the box. We got to get you up and running with some best practices on how to drive driver adoption. As a side note, I'm in Dallas this week, and I was just chatting with our vice president of marketing, Kendall, and she shared with me that our driver app has over 8,000 reviews on the mobile store, and it has a 4.8 rating from drivers who,
Very nice.
in my experience, don't give out flowers very easily. So I think that speaks a little bit to the quality of the experience of that app. Turvo has an autopilot, which is effectively a logic engine that drives an exception framework. So when you buy Turvo, there's going to be a set of shipment exceptions that are going to say, hey, a driver's running late. Hey, you missed a pickup. But as a user, you can also configure additional customer-specific, carrier-specific, granular rules to allow your users to get closer to truly managing all of their shipments and all of their workflows by exception. And that's an important feature that we've built on over the years, and we continue to add more and more to that framework in the exceptions and autopilot. Maybe the most important feature when it comes to automation is Turvo's API. And I talked about that at the start. You've mentioned how seamless the integrations are. All of that is really enabled by our public API. And we want to be the premier world-leading brokerage TMS. Certainly, we're going to continue to enhance the feature set that we do have. But we want to allow all of our customers to use the API so that if they have an idea that they want to go build their own intellectual property and just use Turvo for the user interface, they can do that. And whether it's through a partner like Parade or you're doing it in-house, all of that's enabled by our public API.
Yeah, we utilize, I can't talk today, it's been one of those days, but we utilize Power BI in the background, right, for all of our homegrown stuff that we want to see. And being able to export all of that information that quickly, it was a game changer for us. Our previous TMSs, it was a nightmare. So like us being able to just pull our data out in the format that we want, like that, has been so easy for us to actually adopt all of that into our everyday lives. So I would agree with you. The integrations have been like key. My previous partner took forever to integrate anything that we had. With you guys, with some of the partners that you guys work with, it's weeks. Sometimes it's less than 2 weeks. I mean, we just rolled out a new integration with one of our new customers, and it was less than 2 weeks from start to finish. That's speedy.
Yeah, I mean that's music to my ears, and that's the beauty of the API, right? Like once you, whether again if it's in-house or if you're working with a partner to do that development, once you're familiar with it, you can really move very quickly on it, and the actual data interchange of the API is all real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. And I love your driver app. One of the things I didn't mention on that is being able to collect paperwork off of that has been so easy compared to our previous partners. Not only from a P&L standpoint, but being able to train the drivers to understand, hey, as soon as you're done with a pickup, as soon as you're done with a delivery, just upload it into the app. It's totally fine. If you do that, you're not going to hear a million things from us. You're not going to, my AP team and AR team is not going to reach out to you 3 times a day, every day. It's been really, really, really cool. And then we just rolled out a new integration with Triumph Pay as well. And that's been going really well too. Like very, very seamless. Sonny just mentioned, I know what you mean about a nightmare getting information from a certain TMS. Sonny and I actually used to be, we used to use the same TMS back in the day. So yeah, I hear him out there. So,
I was going to say, this feels like there's a little inside baseball going on there.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not trying to talk shit on anybody. Everybody is good at what they're good at, but being able to, your guys' platform is it's very, very user friendly, which is really nice. You don't have to have an IQ of 160 to be great at it. And that helps a lot. And so, there's a lot of positives to it. Like I said, we've gone through 3 of them. I feel like outside of the biggest name out there that I won't mention, you guys have been head and shoulders above the competition that we've worked with. So,
You mentioned that user experience in the UI. We might undersell it a little bit because I think we're so used to it just being like, it's Turvo. It looks great. It's modern. It's easy. It's intuitive.
mm-hmm.
But that really is important. And we talk about collaboration as part of Turvo's DNA as well. But it's one thing for you to hire, new brokers, whether they're out of college or they're young, but that's kind of the demographic we're after, right? You want young, hungry folks to get in and help you build your business. And they live in the iPhone world. So Turvo's UI and UX is pretty critical to employee retention and satisfaction. But when you think about the collaborative part of Turvo, I mean, this is a customer experience tool for your business. You can give Turvo to your shippers. They're going to collaborate with you. They're going to get into their Turvo tenant, track their loads, pull their PODs, and they're getting the same experience that you are. Yep. And that's a direct line to customer retention.
Yep. Oh, I agree. And honestly, it has made training so much easier too. Like our training with you guys was head and shoulders above everybody else that we've done. And it was so much shorter too. It's a very easy platform to use. It's very self-explanatory. Like I mentioned, you don't have to have a $160 IQ to do this. And it's definitely helped us from a retention standpoint. And then our customers being able to literally, for everybody out there who doesn't know anything about Turvo, like being able to send them a link to just say, hey, here's your load. Here's your load. You can see exactly what's going on with the driver. There's no funny business. You can see exactly where they're going to be. You can see their ETA, all this fun stuff. And being able to do that, there's a lot of customers that absolutely love it. We still have customers that, they still want an update from us every 6 hours because they like talking to us type shit. But then your more sophisticated ones are like, yeah, send me a link to every single load of mine that we're doing. Yeah. And if I got a question on a load, I don't have to track anybody down. I just click on the link and, I look at the breadcrumb and I see where they've been. I see where they stop for gas and I see what their ETA is going to be to my, my dock. And it's been huge. It saves us a lot of labor to do that too, man, to be honest with you. So
yeah, you add all those touch points over the course of a day, week, month. I mean, that's exactly what it is that you referred to in the opening around automation that's allowing your users to drive more meaningful activity.
Yep. 100%. I mean, the name of the game is just do whatever you can to drive revenue. Right. And if, booking loads is what we do for a living, and the more loads you can book, the better off you're going to be, better your P&L is going to look. So you got to have a great partner that understands that automation is, it's a buzzword out there. It's been a buzzword in our industry for the last 6 years easily, right? Everybody wants to talk about no touch freight and, the convoys of the world, rest in peace. But, I've struggled in the past because everybody preaches automation, but true automation that matters day to day, that is actually impactful is what you're after, right? You can preach all you want about automation for this, this, and this, but if it doesn't actually reduce your touches and it doesn't reduce your labor or it doesn't increase your customer experience, what good is it, right? And so, we've definitely appreciated the ability to communicate better with our customers, communicate better with our drivers, and also internally the communication's been a lot better too. You don't have, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to jump between a bunch of different, through a bunch of different hoops to, communicate effectively between your sales team and your operations team and your accounting team, for example. So having it all captured right there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's not all that it's not just right there. It's all right there in context, right? Like the messenger lives within shipments. You can certainly just send somebody like an IM, just like you would in Teams or Slack, but you can house a chat within a shipment. And that allows cross-functional teams to have context, have real-time communication and collaboration internally. And it's just another thing that's adding to the productivity of our customers' teams.
Yep. And from a leadership standpoint, being able to see the breadcrumb trail throughout an entire load is huge too, right? So if there is an issue at the end of a load, you can go back and literally see every single touch point, who did it, where the issue happened, so you can coach and you can correct those SOPs as you need to. So it's really cool. I mean, we've been very happy with Turvo. Like I said, we've been with you guys since last October, so we're going on 14 months now. A lot of cool shit you guys are coming out with. I know you guys got a lot more in the pipeline next year, and it seems like you guys are always releasing new updates every quarter. And it's cool to have a partner that's understands us and understands like the ability to, or not just the ability, but the need to innovate constantly, because this industry is changing all the time. And the funny part is we're such a huge part of America, right? Like if you think about it, supply chain is just, it's massive, but it's very, very behind the times for the most part when it comes to tech, right? Yep. So when you start talking about, AI this and AI that and everything else, there's majority of the people in our space don't give a shit. They don't know about it, and they don't care, right? But someone has to. And so seeing the leaders out there like you guys, it really helps brokers, and it helps you get from that hump from, $20 to $30 million in brokerage to that 75 to 100 million. You're not going to do that unless you're able to do more with less. So you have to find those partners like a Turvo, like a Parade, that is going to enable your team to drive more revenue and build better relationships with your carriers and customers, make better decisions. I love the fact that the information is just there, right? So like even from my carrier management standpoint, having a true carrier scorecard captured in the same TMS, like instead of something externally, is huge, because you can look at, if you get 5 quotes for a load, for example, from 5 carriers that you work with, you can look at that carrier scorecard and see who has the best on-time percentage, who has your best margins, all that fun stuff captured right then and there.
I mean, this is you're doing the heavy lifting here. I love hearing this directly from our customers' mouths. I mean, this is why we do it, right? I love hearing it.
Yeah, and we got a question here. So Sonny, question: when they update the system, how is the communication on what has changed and how it will affect your day-to-day operations? I'll let you take that, Anthony.
Yeah, so we actually deploy once a month. So our roadmap is always moving quickly, and we might talk a little bit about what's on the slate for the near term, but really our roadmap is driven by our customers, and we want to be close to the customer. It's our North Star is do the right thing for our customers, and the rest are going to fall into place. So we're shipping new product once a month. Obviously, sometimes a monthly release is less exciting than another one, but we send out regular communication to our customers about pretty much everything. We will send a kind of release note or like a patch note email to all of our customers ahead of time. We then deploy that to the sandbox, so everybody has a lower environment that's not actually affecting their day-to-day operations. We send a list of, hey, here's all the new things that are there. Test them out, try them out. If you have questions, you can work with your customer success manager. Our customer success team is also doing a little proactive outreach to make sure that our customers are prepared, especially when there are more significant or meaningful changes coming out. And then on production day or on the release day to production, you'll see a notification in Turvo that says, hey, an update's here, refresh your browser, and you kind of know what's coming. So that's a large part of where our customer success team does spend their time, is making sure that our customers are prepared for the new exciting features that are coming from Turvo.
Yeah, and we can attest that. I mean, we have biweekly meetings with our customer success manager, and basically not only does she cover all the new releases, but any questions that we have. So, your guys' customer service has been the best of the TMSs that we've had by far. And that's, once again, I'm not getting paid by you guys. I'm just saying it like it is.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And you talked about training a little bit earlier too. So Turvo Academy is kind of a product within the product, right? There is a suite of courses that all of your users as a customer have access to help train on best practice in Turvo. And that also is a living, breathing roadmap. So as we deploy new features, we also deploy education content around those new features.
Yep. And it's been great. I mean, I keep going back to you guys in Parade, but Parade has a Parade Academy too. And I remember talking to my old TMS about that and saying, guys, why can't you do something like this? Right? Like, our training, our previous TMS's training was not very great. And when we signed up with you guys, that was actually one of the major selling points for us, was that all of the trainings just captured there. So we as we train people, as we hire new people, we can set aside time every single day for the first couple of weeks and basically create modules for them on the training and the TMS. It's really nice. I mean, you guys kind of thought that through for us, and it's made our lives a lot easier when we're actually onboarding.
Yeah, our DNA is in SaaS, right? Like we're a platform with an open API and an LMS attached to it, and we do want to lead the way with brokerage CMS, but our DNA is truly enterprise SaaS. So we've learned some best practices from that part of the world, and we're trying to drive some change in our industry with what that looks like.
Yeah, well, you guys have definitely done a great job. We're gonna be coming up on time here in a little bit. Is there anything you want to bring up for next year that you guys are working on?
Well, I mentioned that our roadmap really is driven by our current customer base, and that is 1,000% true. And when we think about this upcoming year, it's going to be more around automation and configurability, I would say. So some things like back office settlement type workflows, and just making those more robust and configurable for our customers. We will be releasing a multi-currency and internationalization update here in the near term that will allow all of our customers who operate, whether it's Canada, Mexico, to operate as a true multinational enterprise organization, all in the one Turvo tenant. There's some updates coming around our Turvo data importer, which is a bulk data tool that's going to allow customers to more seamlessly upload data into Turvo, whether it's updates or carrier information, whatever it might be. We're enhancing that framework. But ultimately, like I said, all of the features on our roadmap are going to be driven by the voice of customer and what is it that you need from Turvo to continue to lead the way, to allow you to do more with the team that you have without having to just add headcount.
Love it. And, a lot of the updates that you guys do are, customer related, right? So like, I know that there's updates for us that we've requested and worked through with you guys that later on get released to everybody else. But, just from my point of view, like being able to feel like our voice is actually being heard, and that you guys are actually willing to not just say, hey, this is the product you bought, right? This is what you got to stick to. Being able to work with us and understand that all of us are different. We're heavy produce. We have a lot of multi-pick, a lot of consolidation, a lot of really shit loads, like really hard loads, right? I mean, that's just what we love, the hard stuff. So like very rarely do we get a one pick, one drop dry van load. That's just not what we do. Yeah. And there's a lot of other TMSs out there that are probably really good at one pick, one drop dries, right? And you probably don't need anything beyond what they have. But when you start getting into we've got multi-leg shipments, we've got, consolidation where we're going and picking up, 15, 16 picks for a load with one leg going to our warehouse that we own in a certain facility, like in a certain city. And then you've got a team taking it from there to the Northeast. And then you've got another local guy going and doing the deliveries. When you have stuff like that, your TMS is going to be your best friend or your worst enemy. I mean, seriously. Like being able to get the billing correctly, the drivers correctly, everything correct on that, like to see it from point A to Z is very, very difficult for some people to understand. But you guys do a great job at it. And that was one of the main reasons we actually picked you guys, was because you are able to do that. And you're able to get those multi-leg shipments down with the right AP, right AR. And it has saved us a lot of headache when it comes to that. So definitely, if you guys are looking for a more robust TMS, I would definitely say that these guys are very, very, I would say you guys are probably in that like Ferrari zone, right? Like I always talk about, we bought a Ferrari and we're still driving it like a Pinto sometimes because we haven't even begun to unlock a lot of stuff that you guys can do for us. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of years where we do learn to get out of second gear with you guys, because I know we're going to see even more savings than we have this first year. But very, very robust TMS out there, guys. Very, very easy to integrate. I kept asking the question about what they're going to roll out next year. There's a lot of TMSs I see that, their big rollouts are, we're now integrated with so-and-so. Well, you guys can integrate with anyone because you have an open API. It's easy as crap, right? So that roadmap is really just, what are you hearing from us and what can you guys do with that information, right? Outside of that, whatever you guys bring to the table, if you're looking for a TMS and they have to integrate with X, Y, and Z, I can already tell you, you're not going to run into any issues with that. great partners. You guys have been great to work with this last year. Really appreciate you coming on, buddy. Is there anything you want to tell the audience about, specifically how to reach you if they're looking to make some TMS changes in the next year or so? What's the best way for those guys to reach out to you guys and find out a little bit more about you guys?
Yeah, well, you can certainly add me on LinkedIn. It's just Anthony Ceritelli, but reach out to us. It's turvo.com. You can get in touch with our team that way, and we'll get you set up with a conversation and a demo to learn about your business. And, Cody, thank you for having me on. I love talking with our current customers and hearing the story directly from our customers. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than hearing it right from you. And thanks again for having me on. And maybe most importantly, go Yankees. And
let's get the Bucks going, right?
Yeah, they got to get it together a little bit.
I was going to ask you, before we leave, how deep do you think we're going to go?
I don't know. I feel like the only way Ryan Day keeps his job is he's got to win it all.
100%.
So it depends. How bad does he want to keep his job is the question.
And have you seen who we got to run through? So, I mean, if we get through Tennessee is a very good team, but I do think that we can beat Tennessee. And then we got a rematch with Oregon. And if we can get past Oregon, which I do think that we can. We played very, very hard that first game, and it was in Oregon, right? So this is going to be a neutral site, Rose Bowl. I think that we got the talent to beat them. If we sneak past those guys, we're probably going to end up playing Texas and then Georgia. So, talk about a gauntlet, right?
The gauntlet.
Yeah.
That's like your 16-pick load, but for college football.
Exactly. Right. So
Aaron's in the chat saying Tennessee's going to smoke Ohio State. So I feel like I'm getting called to the table. I'm going to say 35-20 Buckeyes.
Love it. Love it. I personally think that we actually do run the table. I think that Michigan game was a little bit of an eye opener for everybody. And I think that Ryan Day is going to we got too much talent, and we just laid an egg. I think that we played really well against Oregon, except for, our quarterback had a couple snafus there the fourth quarter. I think we could have beat them. And Oregon is obviously the best team in the nation right now. So I think we got the talent to do it. I think it'll be a gauntlet. I do think we match up well against Texas. I think that we will have a hard time if we do get it to Georgia, though. So I think we can beat Texas by 10 to 14 points. I think Georgia will be a nail biter if we can get past Oregon. So.
Well, I'm going to have fun no matter what.
Agreed.
It's cold up in Ohio. I'm going to be watching this from the comfort of my own home, just watching the chaos unfold.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future. So have a great rest of your day. And for everybody out there listening, if you need to get a hold of Anthony, like he said, hit him up on LinkedIn. Easiest way to find him. If you can't find him, hit me up. I'll connect you guys. No problem. So I will see you guys in another 2 weeks. I know we got Christmas coming up. And I hope everybody's listening, and Anthony and Sonny, because he's blowing up our chat. Everybody has a great Christmas. I hope everybody had a great Turkey Day. I skipped that episode. But yeah, thank you very much, man. And I appreciate it, and talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Cody.